All right. This one came to us through Facebook. You can message us there on our Facebook page. This is from Serene. She said, "Hi, I'm reaching out in regards to my 9-year-old son with ADHD type 6. I am seeking the natural route instead of medication. Do you have any recommendations? I love Dr. DiMatteo, listened to him daily while he was alive and used many of his products. I felt like I knew him so well that when he died, I cried so hard. I even sent flowers." Thank you, Serene. Wow. A good soul laid to rest, waiting for Christ's return. I cannot wait to meet him in heaven. Thanks a million, Serene. That was fantastic. Okay. So she's got a son, 9 years old, ADHD type 6. I don't know what type 6 ADHD is.
So yeah, in a nutshell, what I found is it's also termed as ring of fire ADD. And it comes from analysis of the brain itself and brain patterns. There's a high activity in certain areas of the brain.
Okay.
What it ultimately means, though, is that this type tends to have a harder time turning off their brains. They can be very overwhelmed with thoughts and emotions. Interestingly, they found that this type actually gets worse when they're on stimulant medications alone.
Oh, wow.
Because again, it's a clear overactivity in the brain.
So that makes sense then that she wants to avoid medication, at least the standard medications.
Yes,
for ADHD.
It does. And I did want to touch on that. So I think just given, and I have no idea what her doctor has recommended or has not, I think and rightfully so to a large extent, there is a resistance. Kids on meds equals bad. Kids on meds for ADHD equals Ritalin. It does not have to equal that.
Right.
There are medications that you can do that it's not just important to understand that they broadly can help ADD. It's important to understand how they work. So a medication like guanfacine or clonidine, they are calming to the brain.
Okay.
They technically can be used for blood pressure because of their mechanism, but what's important here is that they're technically pharmacologically alpha-2 agonists in the brain, but what they're doing, they are inhibiting the release of norepinephrine. Back to that like fight or flight kind of response. So it's inhibiting that release. It's not the entire picture and the be all end all for what, you're going to have to deal with in these situations, but it can, again, just help calm the brain because they can see on imaging that there is an overactivity of that neurotransmitter and of that release in the brain of these affected patients.
Okay. What else can be done? What can she do other than medications before we put that to bed? She's looking for other options. Correct.
Yeah. And just to wrap up the just a point blank comparison, in 2021 they did a study of elementary aged kids with ADHD. 78% of those treated with stimulants had an improvement in symptoms. 66% who took one of these medications that I mentioned, the alpha-2 agonist, had improved symptoms. So yes, it was 12% less. But when you look at the lack of side effects, there's no dependence, let alone addiction concerns. There's no tolerance buildup. All these other side effects that can occur, those are not present in this type of medication. So I know that she asked to not go down the medication route. I respect that. I get that. I just want to make clear the delineation. I would hate to see potentially if some of these more natural things don't work, that, there is a middle ground where yes, medicated, but not in the world and not in the realm of those stimulants.
Okay. All right, cool. Okay. So what are the natural options then?
So from a supplement standpoint, omega-3s are a baseline thing to do. And to give to a child at that age. It's yes, you can get enough omegas from your diet, fish, nuts, seeds. We're talking about what'd you say, a 9-year-old?
Yeah, 9-year-old.
Fish, nuts, and seeds.
Yeah.
Good luck. I mean, I happen to have a child that loves fish. My other two will not eat it. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do to get, those types. It's much easier an adult to make these changes. In a child, again, it's day to day.
And it's even hard for an adult to get enough of that stuff to be away from the supplementing world and that.
Yeah, you've got breakfast, school lunches, and your only shot's dinner in a lot of these cases. Yes, I'm fortunate enough my kid will eat tuna for lunch and things like that. That's not easy. So 500 to 1,000 milligrams daily is shown to be safe for kids at that age.
Okay.
I think that's a basic safe amount. You can also see if there are any other symptoms that it can often be co-occurring with omegas. They can give you a little bit of insight there. Skin issues, especially related to drying. So like dry skin, eczema, also some immune issues, weak immunity or asthma. Again, it's not saying omegas are going to cure that or that's what's causing it, but there can just be a link and an association with those things.
Cool. So if those improve, then that could be part of it.
Yes. And it
Nice.
can just help give you a little more of an overall picture of your child.
Okay.
Thought that was interesting. So back to the calming and more specifically to this type 6 ADHD, L-theanine has shown to be calming to the brain in a similar way. It's decreasing an excitatory neurotransmitter. So norepinephrine has, it's certain activity, but overall it's an excitatory neurotransmitter. Glutamate functions in the brain that way. So it can help rebalance GABA and glutamate. GABA is a calming and inhibitory neurotransmitter. So it helps to decrease the glutamate and get a better balance there.
Okay.
So they did a study, and this was related to sleep, but it's still, again, we're drawing some, not real difficult connections here. 8 to 12-year-old boys, 98 boys with confirmed ADHD diagnosis. They were studied using an actigraph, which is basically an activity monitor watch that we see all the time now for their sleep.
Okay.
During the day, it's harder to monitor and harder to quantify success, et cetera. So they looked at sleep in this population. 100 milligrams twice a day of L-theanine was shown, again, via this actigraph device. So hard data was shown to improve sleep latency and sleep quality. There was less activity during the night, which is related to the sleep quality, and they found that they fell asleep faster, which is sleep latency.
That's great. That's
so
very cool.
L-theanine, again, is going to be a fundamental recommendation, as well as magnesium.
Okay.
It's been shown to reduce anxiety and hyperactivity. 100 to 200 milligrams twice a day is, again, shown to be safe in kids.
Any other lifestyle changes? Anything that she needs to really dig into there with her son?
Lifestyle-wise, just in a nutshell, there's obviously much more you can go into here, but activity, the more you can get your children active in school and outside of school. Sleep. That's why it's important to draw that link back to even just the L-theanine itself.
Yeah.
Improving sleep quality. Also, again, I know this is a tough one, but screens with kids, especially as you get closer to bedtime, developing a good sleep routine. So again, there's way more detail that you can go into, in terms of lifestyle, but those I think are critical basic ones.
Good place to start. Very cool. Very cool. I hope that helps, Serene. Thank you so much for that email.